Yo, what's good, everybody? Today is March the 3rd, 2026. Most gracious and Heavenly Father, we thank you, God, for another opportunity of prayer. Oh, God, I come before you asking you, God, that you would have mercy on the soul of mankind. Oh, God, that you would just cover and keep us. Oh, God, we ask you, God, that you would protect those that are involved in this war. We ask you, God, that you would look over our military family and friends, oh, God, that are, whether they are near, far, and different, our brothers and sisters across the world, not just this country, oh God, that are involved in all this on both sides, oh God. We just ask you, God, that you would intervene and save us from mankind, save us from ourselves. We ask all these things. We ask you, God, that you would also bless this viewers, bless our conversation. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Um, it's good, everybody. Give y'all a chance to come on in, get in the comments. Let me go ahead and update that real quick. Hey, what's good, Sam?
What's going on?
Man, another day. Another day. First of the month, freestyle show. Um, I didn't even do a pre-show announcement or anything. I figured it's obvious what we could talk about and today, what's going on in the world as of Saturday. Um, so just updated that. How was your weekend though?
Good. I caught the Duke NC State game yesterday. Um, the arena was packed. You would think, but it's been pretty good.
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, kind of early um precursor, so to speak, to the ACC tournament. It should be pretty exciting this year.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
We'll see. We'll see what's up. We'll see if my boys will get Caleb Wilson back in time. He's out of his cast now and been shooting, but he can't do drills and stuff yet. That's if he come back. I don't know if it's just hype and anything else, but
Okay.
we'll see. Um, but yeah, man, I want to start by saying this. When people know me, that they know I like to joke and have a good time and funny like things of that nature. But no matter what side you're on, what you believe or whatever, there will always be losers when war is involved. There will always be casualties of war, period, on both sides. No matter what it is, whether you're talking about streets, whether you're talking about national war, whether you're talking about any kind of conflict, there's going to be collateral damage. And there's going to be people that get hurt, if not lose their lives, that have and not have, that doesn't have anything to do with anything. So with that being said, I want to send my condolences and prayers to the soldiers that we've lost, their families, um, and for those on the opposite side. I've been seeing different things, and it's hard in this day and age with so much as far as AI and trustable sources and conspiracies and this here and that there to believe. It's hard to believe what it is that you see these days because you don't know what's true and what's not. But like I said, it's casualties on a war on both sides. Um, Women, children, grandparents, hospitals being blown up, things of that nature. There, that's not. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't have an answer. I don't pretend to. Hey, what's good? All my YouTube viewers, Emo Girl and Brantley. Thanks for tuning in. And you guys feel free to, as well, no matter what platform that you're watching on, feel free to put any of your comments or any questions. in the comment section, and we'll get to them because you guys are a part of the show as well. But yeah, if you have any concerns or anything that for me or Sam, put it in the comments and we'll get to it. Um, but yeah, for those that know, we are officially in a war as of Saturday morning. Um, it made me think about something, Sam, too. I remember because I told you I watch a lot of. I can't even remember the last time I watched like local news, or I don't do a lot of CNN. I don't do a lot of American news outlets because I don't. I'm one of those people. I
Mhm.
say it's like for me, um, it doesn't make it. People used to say, especially growing up, people would always say, "Well, it got to be true because it's on the news. It wouldn't be on the news if it wasn't true." And I'm like,
Yeah.
I learned from people on police force and people behind the scenes a lot of times. The truth is not what's being displayed on the news. The truth is just what's on the news is just what they want you to know. There's so many undertones and so many things that goes on behind the scenes, but so it's just a matter of who's controlling the narrative. You know what I mean? Just like when you do a school play back in the day, you might try to ad lib something. Teachers, the director say, no, 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 you can't say that. Not that it wasn't funny or not that it wasn't appropriate or whatever the case may be, but there's always some kind of constraint as far as discipline, as far as who controls what information is given out and things of that nature there. So I watch a lot of Al Jazeera, BBC, and a lot of different world outlets because I don't always trust what they're telling us here. Um,
Mhm.
but it made me think about. I did see a little clip of one of the guys that were involved in the peace talks or whatever the case may be on Friday, and his words was I want to say that he was from uh, Israel. I believe he was from Israel. I'm not sure, but I believe he was from Israel. But he was from one of the places that's actually in there. The news these days is just pure propaganda. I believe so too, and I agree 1,000%. Um, what he said was, and his words were, this was Friday evening. His words were, peace talks are very much on the table, and we're close to striking a deal. Less than 24 hours later, we're at war, and it made me think about with Putin, maybe 4 years ago now, 3 years or 4 years ago now. Um, I remember for some reason watching Al Jazeera News. This was the 3 days before um they attacked Ukraine, and I remember Putin saying um the the Ukrainian people, you have nothing to worry about. And for some reason in my spirit, when I heard him say that, I'm like, it just made me like, well, why is he saying that? If they don't have anything to worry about, what then the next day, less than 48 hours later, you seen the tank moving toward Ukraine. You guys don't have anything to worry about. Well, why do you keep saying this? This was 3 days before they actually attacked Ukraine. And it made me feel that way um Friday evening when I seen this on the news before we even knew it. Now I'm not Monday morning quarterbacking, but it was like, okay, war is definitely inevitable, but I don't know who's going to be a part of the war and why is this war even existing. So I was just curious. Hey, what's good, Drew? I was curious on your take. Um, and I'll get to mine a little later. But why is America consistently and constantly um I'm trying to think of how to word it.
The world
Why
police.
why, why are we so invested in always minding other people's business? The BBC is bought and paid for by Israel. I wouldn't doubt that either. But two things can be true at the same time. I just trust that those sources and for let's be real, Israel is involved in a lot of the media, period, across the globe. But my bad. Go ahead, Sam. I wanted to get to that comment before while I say it.
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. I look at things a little different because uh I've been to four different war zones. Um in 90, Desert Storm, then Desert Shield, went to Haiti um in 93, and then Mogadishu in 94. A lot of people saw the movie Black Hawk Down.
Hmm.
That was my unit that they did the movie on.
Oh
Um,
wow.
then then I was in Bosnia when they was doing genocide there with with Bosnia, Serbia, and all that. And then I did my last three tours in Afghanistan. And the one thing that I tell people, like, remember, like maybe half a year ago, um, I made the comment about Charlie Kirk, and I was like, I hear so many people talking about Charlie Kirk, but until he got killed, nobody ever heard of him.
Hmm.
Nobody ever paid attention to him. And with the situation that's happened in Iran, what a lot of people don't understand is that the Ayatollah, is basically responsible for over 1,000 American deaths. Like people forget about the 251 Marines that he took out.
In the
People
Iraqi war.
forget about Abbeygate just a couple years ago, uh, for Afghanistan, that withdrawal. That was him.
Okay.
Like, so they don't understand over 1,000, they raise people deaf to America. They don't just say it, they mean it. It's taught in their schools. And when you go back to like, I think it happened in like 1979, but you have it before when he took over in about 1979. That's when the US closed the embassies, like the US completely left Iran. And basically you had a bunch of women that was there. They were college professors. They was on the beach. They was sunbathing, bikinis. They shopped. They wore makeup. They did all those things. They didn't wear burqas. When he took over in 1979, he wiped all that away. The women that were professors at the university, they were killed. Like that's the type of dude he is or he was.
Hmm.
Like, if you was a female, you couldn't get caught outside the town limits of your town without a man escort. So when we talk about like women's rights and certain things, like I have that perspective because I've been all over the world and I see how bad. I see why people are trying to get here, but to me, it was honestly it was way overdue. Um, Bush wanted to do it. Bush Jr. wanted to do it. Obama wanted to do it. Clinton wanted to do it. Um, Trump, his people, Bolton and all them was pressuring him to do it during his first administration. But he was on this, I don't want no wars or anything. I don't want, he's like, because right now a war in the Middle East is gonna, I don't want it to be no decades old war. So now in hindsight, the other day he said basically, when it comes to Iran, I wish I had listened because people don't understand. Like the Iranian people are beautiful people, just like I would say for the black community. They're Persian. So when you see the 300,
Mm.
like Iranians are Persians, so basically everybody is celebrating from Iran. Like when Venezuela happened, I had a neighbor over on this side was out in the street screaming, him and his wife celebrating and all that because they're like, now we can go home to Venezuela. We can go visit Venezuela. Well, on this side, five or six houses down, Amir, he out screaming in the middle of the street in excitement because and I walked my dog down there and I was like, man, what's going on? You okay? Everything all right? You happy? He's like, man, it's just so good. Supreme Leader is dead. I can see my family. He's like, he's been here married. He has 2 kids and he has not been, his parents have not seen him because they canceled all the internet. So they couldn't like Snapchat, they couldn't Facebook, they couldn't do Instagram. They don't have that there. You follow what I'm saying? So he was completely cut off from his parents. They never saw his kids. They never saw his wife, other than like one photo that he was able to get in that made it through their screening. So I look at it like war. Well, like I really don't consider this a war because it's something that's been going on for decades. From 83 when those Marines was killed, all the way, all the other events. But the thing is like that's all they want is to destroy. They just want to destroy Western civilization, Christians. That's it. Death to America, death to Germany, death to anything that believes in God. So I
This
don't
is
have
Iran.
what you say?
This is Iran you're talking about.
Yeah, because they practice Sharia law.
Mhm.
And Sharia law, you can kill a Christian and it's looked at as a good thing. Because your goal as an Islamist is to just reproduce. When you're reproducing Islamist, a good reproducing Muslim, you're a good Muslim. If you're not reproducing, if you're not taking out Christians, you're not a good Muslim. So that's the thing right there. Is that it's that the thought process. Now, when I say Muslims, I'm not talking about like you got the Sunnis and then you got the Shiites,
Right. Mhm.
but one group makes up only like 10% of Muslims, but they're the most extremists. Just like how like the trans community is less than 0.5% of the US population. But we got all these trans months, we got all these flags, we got like the smallest group is making the biggest noise.
Mhm.
So to me, when that supreme leader got up there and said, "Come and get me," a couple weeks ago, and he basically teased Trump. And if he ain't learned, if people haven't learned by now, that's why so many countries are like bowing to him. Like when Biden went over to Qatar or to Saudi Arabia, the prince didn't even meet him at the airport. When he pulled up to the castle, he ain't had no parade or nothing. When Trump went this time, he had the red carpet, the parade, the military at the airport as he got off Air Force One. That's it could be some fear because when that cat say he gonna do something, they know he crazy enough to do it. It's as simple as that. When he said you can FOFA or FAFO,
Mhm.
he mean that. And this is the thing, and I'll land with this. I know I've been speaking for a second, but they took him out. Then after they took him out, they took his next successor was his son. They took him out. Then they took out all the defense minister, the minister of intelligence, they took all of them out. They took like 41 people out. So this morning or last night, it was like over 50 leaders that were picking the next successor.
Mm-hmm.
You know what Trump and them did? They blew up the whole building, all of them dead. And it was all the leadership that was supposed to pick the next Ayatollah. You
Mm-hmm.
you follow me? Like they and when Trump said we're gonna be doing it for like 4 weeks, maybe five, but it's gonna be like less than 4 weeks that you know I mean, you even got dang on Iranians, Persians, you know, they on the street doing Trump dance. They in LA, they in Chicago, they in DC having parades celebrating. So I tell my folks, like Kevin Gates, that rapper, I focus on what pays me. I focus on what, like, they asked Kanye something, a couple years ago about how he felt about the genocide in Palestine. He's like, well, on the south side of Chicago this past weekend, 16 people were killed. Why don't you ask me about that?
Mm-hmm.
Like we here in America, but we're focusing. I hate that we focus so much outside versus how the conditions are our community. And that's kind of like my thing. I support what's being done because I felt instead of Obama taking out Gaddafi, just because Gaddafi wanted to separate from the US, he literally went, killed Gaddafi, and all the Republicans was like, oh, he didn't get authorization from us. And Nancy Pelosi got up there and said, the president don't have to. Like, that's the war power. He don't have to come to y'all for a strike. He didn't declare war. Trump didn't declare war. He didn't say we are at war like George Bush did, you know. So you don't have to go to Congress. Now, if it lasts more than 60 days, then he has to go to Congress to get more money. You follow what I'm saying? But people say, oh, it's a legal war. I'm like, no, it's not. He did exactly what Obama did. He did exactly what Bush Jr. did. You do not have to notify Congress to do strikes. If people forget about the 7 or 8 strikes that Obama did. All he's required within 48 hours, you have to notify Congress what you did. That's why Obama was always doing press conference. We struck this guy. We struck this guy. When Trump and them was taking out all them boats, after they did the boats, what they do the following day? They did press conference. They notified Congress. So the thing is, I wish that people had as much passion about their community than they have about what's going on in Iran, because everybody in Iran, all the people here that's been stuck here that want to go home to Iran, they happy. They celebrate. So who knows more about Iran than a Persian, than an Iranian?
Mm-hmm.
Like if we
So let
talk
me ask
about
you
the
this. Let me ask you this, and thanks, Christopher Barlow. I'm seeing you got a lot to say. Thanks for your comments. However you feel, whatever you. Um, have you ever paid attention to the fact that they are committing to produce nuclear weapons and have openly said would use them to destroy America, would destroy America? Jew said, "Do you both think that America should have went to war with Israel?" We'll get to that in a second, Jew. Christopher also said, were you aware in any way that the Iranian government has been attempting to assassinate Trump? My answer would be no. I don't concern myself with things that goes on in Iran. Um, Nothing to do with us. The question, I guess he's tripping over the title that I chose for the show. Um, OMG, try to do better as Americans. Hey, what's good, Rod? Rod said military will always support military. It's funny that you would say that because I thought the same thing when I was thinking about a conversation I had with one of my cousins a while ago. She was like, and I think, well, I will get into that later. But I wanted to go back to something that you said earlier, Sam. You said the Iranian people were beautiful people, but then you followed up with that their mission is to kill Christians.
The
Clarify that.
Islamists. What I'm talking about, like prior to, if you looked at prior to 1979, when the Ayatollah took over, if you
Mhm.
looked at an old video of Iran, the beaches and everything, by the water, you saw people out there on the beach. Like if you put that next to a video from California or
Mhm.
South Beach, Miami, you couldn't tell the difference. Like, so all those people, their freedom was taken away. No freedom of speech because this cat has killed over 100,000 of his own. They had the one female that they showed and Twitter took it down. She took off her burqa. The dude came up and sliced her head off. She was protesting, took off her hijab and all that stuff to show her face. They sliced her head off. They don't got free. That's why when people be using the dictator stuff, I'm like, Maduro, when people was protesting after he lost the election and he stayed in power, then people out there protesting. I showed the video on our podcast. He had tanks running through the street, running everybody over. When China was doing their protests, their military came in automatic weapons, just laying out the crowd.
Mhm.
This dude right here, if you protested, if you burn the Iranian flag or anything, immediate death. If a female showed her hair, death. If she uncovered her face in public, death. That's a
So,
dictator.
so in your opinion, the Ayatollah that you're talking about, the supreme leader that was supposedly assassinated, it was more or less him, not the people of Iran as a whole. Is that what you're saying?
It was, that's Sharia law. It's like females cannot show their body because it can tempt a man. But I'm at the same time, I'm like, well, how come men don't have to cover up? Because can a female see a dude and say, oh, he handsome and we all flesh, right?
Mhm.
We're all flesh. So why is it that stipulation? But my thing is this: it's a group of Islamists, just like everywhere. You go to Dearborn, Michigan. You go to Somalia. You go to like certain places. You have your extreme. Just like you talk about people that
Here in
are
America as well. Yeah,
like
you're right.
yeah, like you have people talking about, oh, the all these mass shooters is white men. So on our podcast a couple weeks ago, I actually did research and I was like, out of the last 10 mass shooters here in America, 8 of them were like trans. Like they was getting meds, they self-depression, like the mental. That was my thing. Not that they trans, it's their mental. And I had Colorado, New York, New Mexico, New Hampshire, where all of them was like that. Down in Austin, Texas, Houston, Texas, Joel Osteen Church. That was a trans man. It was a lady thinking she was a man. So I'm like, you have that small group, those 8 out of 10 people don't represent the entire trans community. You follow what I'm saying? That's a small group, but the small group is what takes that out. So when you have extreme Islamists like the Ayatollah and the supreme leader and all the people that follow him, his law, his rules, Sharia law, you have that group that had the people living in fear. They didn't have freedom of speech. They was all, when they made money, their money went to the government and they was given rations. And if you refuse to go to work, you could be put to death.
Mhm.
That's why I tell
I think
people,
that's the thing that's confusing to me though. And we're gonna get to answer your question too, Drew. I'm gonna get to that in a second. I just wanted to hit this while we here. That I guess that's my thing. Not to say that I don't care, but again, it's like, what does that have to do with America? Like, I feel like we in this war because of Israel, not because of America wanting to. I believe, and again, this is just my thought to your answer your question, Drew. No, I don't think that we should be involved in this war, but I also believe that two things could be true at the same time. I don't believe that we should be a part of this war. I believe that this is Israel, but I believe that we had no choice in the matter. Um, as why Callis or whatever said, Israel is in charge of Trump. They got him by the nuts. I kind of agree with that. I feel like Israel, the Zionist movement, the people behind the curtain that run the world, these sick, deluded, evil people. Um, I believe he really didn't have a choice in the matter. I had seen one post where it was saying that, and it was very kind of crazy. So I gotta find that because I meant to send it to you too, Sam. It was something that I came across on IG saying that um, Iran had pictures of Trump in a compromising position that he didn't want to release, and if he didn't do something within 7 days, they want to expose the pictures. And then
Man,
in the same at the same time frame, it said Israel has the same information. So if he don't go to war with Israel, pretty much they were saying that war was inevitable because of whatever. Now, for me, it's like again, I think that the Jews when you talk about politics, when um you talk about especially the media, I believe that they control this world from behind the scenes. I believe that there's a puppeteer. I remember my what was my guy name? Hambone Hand. You heard the
mm-hmm.
ventriloquist. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of that. A lot of this is in real time. Like Trump hands is forced, and I understand that he looks more powerful. I mean, he looks powerful, and he gets to make the call and all that there. But I believe that Israel owns us. So and it makes me always question, and I got to do my own due diligence in my own work. Like, who really is Ben Netanyahu? Well, how do you pronounce his name? I keep messing it up every time I get it. When I don't try to say his name, I get it right. But Benjamin, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, who is this dude? What is he really about? And to your point, what you were saying is, I'm not saying that I disagree with what your point. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is, they had the beaches, and it was a beautiful place over here. They got this extremist over here, and everything like that there. Okay, but what about the neighbor that we know that is sexually abusing his daughter here in America? Are we going over there, rectifying that situation, knowing that he's evil and you know what I mean, abusing his daughter physically and mentally? And are we going over there? Do we have the right to say that? Okay, well, we gonna go in here, even though this is his house. We gonna rectify the situation and liberate this girl because she doesn't deserve to go through that. As opposed to worried about what's going on in our house. You know what I'm saying? Like, when did it become America's responsibility for the people of Iran to be liberated?
Well, when you have so many, there's millions of Iranians here now in the U.S. that came here as refugees. It started back in 1979, and the father Bush Senior, was the one who granted like that mass amnesty for Iranians, for Somalians. Like, Bush Senior is the one responsible for bringing all the Somalis. Well, starting it. You follow me? So the thing is like when you have so many people, like Venezuelan people, when I speak to my neighbor and stuff, they're like, now they can move back home. Like, my country is so beautiful. I can't wait to move. He's like, I work remote here, so we're. He's like, soon as everything is good, we're moving back to Venezuela. My friend that's over in Iran, Amir, he's that same way about Iran. He wants his kids in Iran. So it's like when you have so many people here that are taking resources and stuff like that, or I'm not going to say taking, but they're receiving resources. That's resources that can be for the Black community who helped build the country. And you got them talking about, oh, well, Black and brown. I'm like, no, I'm just talking about Black folks because brown folks don't worry about Black folks until they need some allies. So I'm on that, let me focus on the Black community first, and then let me shift to the brown community that don't never show up for me. And you look at downtown Raleigh where I'm at, man, when Venezuela popped off, me and my wife was riding down, because we right by the Capitol, and riding through there, all you saw was white folks. White women, rainbow hair, septum rings in their nose. The septum ring is like the I'm a liberal woman starter pack, you know. So that dies down. First, it was the Palestine. Then, when Gaza ended, it was the Venezuela. Now that's over. Now they was down there the other day, this weekend, protesting Iran. People holding Iranian flags. If they was over in Iran with all that different color hair, they would be put to death. They would be thrown off buildings. It's like whatever it is, Trump, people gonna go against. They listen to all these white folks. That's why, like, when somebody in the comments was talking about Israel run, I'm like, no, white women run things. White women run and control everything. This DEI, who's the number one beneficiary of it? White women. That's the number one. Black folks in the director positions of DEI only made up 3.7%. The positions was only 4%. 70% was white women. So that's the thing, is like they manipulating everything. It ain't Israel. Israel, they over there in Jordan, they over there across the water. But that's the thing right there, where I just think that we have to, you know, it's a smoke screen. Like, I hear the conspiracy theories and, with some compromising positions and stuff, but I tell people this: when Elon Musk wanted Trump to elect his guy to head NASA, and he thought it should be automatic because he's the richest man in the world, and Trump said no. Elon got upset and started saying, "Oh, well, Trump is in the Epstein files. Trump is this. He sucks." You follow me? Because Trump didn't do what he wanted him to do. So I just think when it comes to the news, they call television programming for a reason. It programs us. And I could tell you, like, you ever heard a song, like, you remember De La Soul? When them jokers first came out, I really wasn't feeling it when I first heard it. I'm like, okay, it got the soul, beat and stuff, but the rhymes, I was used to, like, the ABC rappers like Kumo D and LL. Like, I was used to that, Rakim and all that. De La Soul came out with this new swing, but then the more I listened to it, the more I begin to feel it. And it's the same thing with, like, music come out today. I can't stand it when I first hear it, but then when you hear it so much, because the labels are paying for all this airplay, and next thing you know, it's in your head. And this programming, when you can play a clip from all these news outlets, like, you can play it back to back and they're all repeating like the same line. Denzel said it best: that's programming. If you repeat something enough, you start to believe it.
That for me, that's why I don't listen to your point. That's why I don't listen to radio. I stay on my own program, and I'm strictly like 90 to 2000 when it comes to my hip hop. I don't even listen to none of it. Again, it's not hating on it. I refuse to listen to it because I don't want to program myself to it. But I wanted to get to this before it
Yeah.
left too. Rodney, thanks for posting that because I was about to ask you what in the world are you talking about by law. So thanks for posting that qualitative military edge requirement under 22, whatever it is, whatever bill or
UFC,
law.
United States Code.
Yeah, thanks for posting that because I was not aware of that either. Um, but to your point, and like I said, I'm not saying that you're wrong whatsoever. It's just I feel like we got so much going on here that needs to be. I always go back to the same thing. It makes me think go back to high school. I remember one day my mom had me watch is a sink full of dishes, and I was getting to leave the house, and she said, where you going? I was like, I'm going down to I'm going down to my girlfriend at the time house. She was like, oh, okay, when you gonna be back or whatever? I was like, I don't know, probably about 8 or 9 o'clock or whatever. I'm going down there to help her wash some dishes. And she said, boy, if you don't take that coat off, he said, ain't nowhere in the world you going down to wash some dishes at somebody else's house, and we got a sink full of dishes right here. You better wash these dishes first. And it makes that's the way I be feeling like we got so much chaos and so much problems going on that here in America, why are we so worried about what's going on in Iran? Why are we so worried about what's going on in Israel? Why are we got to clean up our own mess before we get involved with trying to help other people regulate their things. Now, I understand at the same time, being that we are all human beings, there's always going to be always. You take something as I know you're Christian and you study Islam and things of that nature. There, Jesus Christ, whether you believe he was fully God, fully man, or whatever the case may be, even he had naysayers. You know what I mean? So it's gonna always be somebody on both sides of an argument. That's inevitable. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? The same thing that'll make somebody else laugh, that you find humorous, will make somebody else cry. You know what I'm saying? It's some people would like the they room temperature at 69 degrees. Some people want it at 75. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
always gonna be something polar. So you can't win from that aspect alone, right? But how do we just find a medium? A medium. Because to your point, now I will say that too. I've seen a lot of people um in Iran from different outlets and stuff, not here in America, but backdoor channels and whatnot, where, like you say, people were in the streets crying. They were so happy, you know what I mean, that they're not living under this oppression, so to speak, anymore because of this extremist, as you say, the one that was killed, the one that was assassinated. They oh my God, we're so happy, we're so relieved, we don't have to live in fear anymore. Like you said, you got people over here that Iranians, Americans, ready to go back home now because that's where they wanted to be in the first place, but they couldn't because of whatever was going on over there.
Mhm.
So I definitely feel for those people there. But again, when as a black man here in America, all the obstacles that we face, to you say it on the show uh quite often, how you taught Lil Sam, hey, now you need 3 pieces of ID. Like, when are we gonna get around to changing that part of history to where black men don't have to live in fear as American citizens anymore? Being that we live here, this is our home. Like, when are we going to change that mentality? And that's why I was glad that you spoke about programming. That's one reason that I don't like to do a lot of these different outlets or whatever the case may be, and call me naive or call me, well, that's just not educating yourself. Okay, but I always ask you, and I always ask people in general, because somebody else said that earlier in the comments, well, you got to educate yourself on this here and that there. Well, how do I know? I wasn't there in 1979 on the beaches of Iran. So I don't know, you know what I mean? Just like I wasn't in no plantation in 1812. So
Mhm.
I don't know how much of what is being taught to me by whoever's teaching it, if they're trying to change the narrative or change, you know what I mean?
Can
How
I
do I
ask
know
you?
if it's really
Can
factual?
I? Let me ask
Yeah.
you this real quick.
Mm-hmm.
You hit it on the head when you talked about what we're taught, right?
Mm-hmm.
Black folks in America, we're taught that we're all descended of slaves. We everything, all the cards have been stacked against us our whole life just because we're black, right? So, um, you heard of a lady named Angela Davis?
Absolutely.
Okay, her whole life has been about her being a descendant of slaves. Her whole life has been that. Well, when PBS Find Your Roots, they got that series, Find Your
Mm-hmm.
Roots. They researched her whole life. When they looked at it, they said, that is your great, great, great granddaddy's signature right there on the log. She
Mm-hmm.
was on the Mayflower. He was on the Mayflower. She found out her family was the day on colonizers.
Mm-hmm.
Don Cheadle, played Iron Man. He
Yeah, yeah.
played the goat, Manigold,
Yeah, he played Moosey, his best role ever.
yeah. Now they did it to him. He been talking around saying he's a victim of chattel slavery and stuff like that. They looked at his thing, went all through, invested almost $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
Found out that his family was enslaved by Native Americans, by Indians.
Mm-hmm.
White folks weren't even in the food chain on his slavery. So, but what we're taught, that's why I tell people it's so important for us to learn for ourselves. It's so
And to your
important
point, go ahead, go ahead.
because the first the first person to own a slave in America was a black man. He sued and he won. That's why he's the first documented slave owner. Stanley, what was it? His last name was Stanley. The largest slave owner in North Carolina was Anthony Johnson. Like, but people forget. Just like my hometown, Detroit, because Ben Carson is in the Guinness Book of World Record. He's the only person ever to successfully separate Siamese twins joined at the head. He broke all these records as a child of a single mother on the east side of Detroit, that his mother was illiterate. He learned how to read himself. He learned how to do all that stuff. He gave $2 million to Ben Carson High School of Science and Medicine. Well, when he got tapped to be the secretary of HUD, the city council, the school board in Detroit removed his name off of the school. They say he no longer aligns with our values. So this man that is in history for all this stuff, like groundbreaking, you take his name. I'm like, are you going to get back the $2 million for all the stuff that he donated to the school? He built the science lab. He built the medical lab. He built all this stuff. Are you going to give all that back?
Mm-hmm. Let me get to
So
this real quick before it disappears again too. Oh, but your point, you was talking like all right. So I'm glad you brought that up with the Angela Davis. That's just my point of what I said. What I said before that before you went the way you went. Me
yeah,
personally, I don't knock nobody, but again, because I spent all this money for you going to do all this research, how do I know that the information that you brought me back is factual? That was
they
my
showed it to
great
her.
grandfather, huh?
They had the papers right in front of her.
How do I know that? I don't know what my great great
You
great
know what?
grandfather signature looked like. That's what I'm
At,
saying. I'm not
at
saying that
the
it's not true, but I'm saying how can I believe? That's like faith. It's like
I
faith.
mean,
You believe in something that we have no evidence of.
yeah, but when you see it, I mean, this is the thing when it comes to that. The statement you just made basically can nullify everything. Like, I could see something and I could be like, okay, I see it with my eyes and I can touch it, but how do I know that's real? This Tabasco right here. I bought it from the store for 199, and it says it has all this ingredients, but how do I know what's really in here? Like at a certain point, you have to
Hey,
have
Flo, what's
faith.
good?
We got to have faith in our, not just in our research, but where we go to research it at. So like all the people that came across Ellis Island, they have all those books where all them immigrants sign their name. They have those stored in archives.
Mhm.
So if I have a great granddaddy that came through or uncle or something that came through Ellis Isle, they open that book up. They allow me access to those archives of all them books, those ledgers, and they show me the signature. And I see the name Blue. I could either say, okay, I know this came out the archives. I know this has been sealed and under secure. They blessed me to allow me to see this, but I can take your point of view and say, I don't care if it was in the archives. How do I know this real?
Mhm.
Like at what point?
Skepticism. Yeah, yeah. I'm with you. And I'm not saying that either one is right or wrong. I'm just saying I'm just giving the opposite side of the coin. Like
Yeah.
you said, your point in your analogy, you know that Tabasco sauce because you bought it, so you know that you bought it for $1.99. Your great grandkid might see that same thing that you left on top of the freezer 60 years from now. How they gonna know? You know what I'm saying? It's put it like this. This is probably I'm glad to see that Rodney in the comments too. Rodney said was good. Well, before let me get to this comment real quick. Drew said a lot of things going on is connected. A lot of us is going to be shocked when the truth is revealed. I'm just watching from the outside and it's all interesting. I agree with that a lot too,
Mhm.
Drew. I don't think that everybody can handle the truth because a lot of time I always tell people, or when I used to preach, I used to say, sometimes your eyes lie to you to a standpoint. You can see a thing, but just because you see a thing don't necessarily mean that it is what you would see or the way that you interpret it. You could be
Mhm.
it could be misunderstood or misconstrued. Why? I guess this is a question for you, Sam. I have no idea whatsoever. It said, "What happens with the American naval vessel where the toilets got all blocked up? The forward. Do you think it was a mutiny, like flushing toilet, brushing and stuff? I don't know what that
No,
even
I'm
means,
gonna
but
tell you, I've been on a ship, I've been in a sub, and everything goes into, like, people think the ships, everything is dumped into the ocean. It's not. It's incinerated, like, and they use that heat to power other systems. Just like a nuclear submarine. A lot of people don't know this, but a nuclear submarine, for example, can stay underwater for six months to a year. The only well, they can stay up basically forever underwater. The reason why they do come up is because it has a certain effect on the body. Just like when the astronauts go out into space, like those two astronauts that man and that lady that was stuck on the space station for almost a year, they came back looking like they aged 20 years. Because when you're not in gravity, your body, your muscle tissue, everything it starts to not become as dense. So when you're underwater, but this is the thing of a nuclear sub, it has incinerators also to power things, but also it draws water out of the ocean and it pulls the oxygen out of that water. They don't have a 6 month to a year supply of oxygen on that sub. It's generated from the seawater. That's why it's able to stay underwater so long. So when something is back up, I can tell you, it, being a soldier, if you want to do a mutiny, you're gonna release the anchor to where it damages some of the navigation system. You're not gonna stop up or shut down a septic system, and because you're gonna be walking in mess everywhere. Like that's not
literally.
something you intentionally gonna do because you're gonna be on that ship. Matter of fact, you might be the one tagged with cleaning it up. So it could be an issue that happened, but it's far from a mutiny. It's other ways to like break stuff. Walking down the to the galley with a dang on hammer in your hand, busting out tactometers, like so nobody can read, the read. It's other ways to do mutiny. Like I know soldiers, we're not always the smartest one on the ship, but ain't no soldier gonna want the dang on toilet. Like that's the worst mutiny ever.
Yeah, that like something that won't affect you as well.
Because all the officers, guess what? All the officers got their own toilets in their rooms, in their galleys. It's the lower enlisted that are in the bunk houses, in the bunk stations, that they all have to share like a community bathroom, and they not gonna do it. They don't have enough power in the game to make those decisions if they want to do a mutiny or not. They just working out their own life.
Mm-hmm. And again, I know we disagree on some things, or I ain't gonna say a lot of things, but we disagree on some things. Let me ask you this, because you mentioned it earlier. And again, what's good, Joe? I'm glad to see you in the comments, bro. You mentioned it earlier. This was the first time ever. I'm one of those people. I'm skeptical. Who called me conspiracy theory, whatever. I posted a thing about Salt, where she's talking about the Satanists and how these evil people run the world and it's just puppets and this here and that there. I feel like the whole world is a stage. We're just watching a play that we have no, you know what I mean? We didn't even pay ticketing price. We just get to see a free show. That's the way I look at the concept of the world. But never in life do I remember being in a situation historically, and I'm not really into history. I'm not a history buff like that at all. He's with us, some ghetto wisdom.
Hit us with some ghetto wisdom.
Oh, hit us. Okay, got you. I like that. He with Trump. I seen what you was talking about where he said it might last 4 to 6 weeks. Like, when in history have we ever heard somebody saying how long that a war would last? Is that like a thing?
But see, this is the thing. When something is done right, when people talk about other military branches and stuff or other countries, I tell them, like, you don't understand how powerful our military is. The weapons that we got, it leaked out that the dang on Cuban, matter of fact, the guy that was the president that lost, but he stayed Maduro, he was so bad that he couldn't get Venezuelan soldiers to protect him. He had to pay Cuban special forces to come and act as his security. And when Delta went in there, them soldiers was like, we don't know what hit us. Our noses was bleeding. We was throwing up. We had these migraines. The weapons that we have at our disposal, just like they just released day before yesterday, the Sky Laser. It was up there. You could see the video shooting lasers, knocking out all the drones. We are the most, it's not that we're the most powerful because, China can duplicate just about anything. But America is the only country that spends the money on it. Like a B-2 bomber. We got 32 of them. And they cost billions each. China knows how to make one, but China ain't spending the money to create more than 2 of them. We have an abundance, just like you look at Iran's in the Oman Ocean, the Oman Sea. They had 11 ships. Within an hour, the U.S. knocked out their whole Navy. That's how powerful we are. Our weaponry, those things right there. So if you do stuff right, that's why I tell people you got to listen to these politicians, because like Dick Cheney, Bush wasn't running the country. Dick Cheney was. That's why we went to, that's why we was in Saudi trying to get Saddam Hussein and stuff, because Cheney had part ownership in defense companies. When do defense companies make money? When we at war.
Oh, yeah.
So Dick Cheney won. Nikki Haley, that congresswoman, she got stopped. Matter of fact, she created her own company. They want us to go to war because they make money. So when we talk about, if it's done the right way, were you efficient? When the Secretary of War got up there, he was like, we are gonna go in there, we are gonna like be vicious. We're gonna the other world, he pointed at the thing on camera, said the world has been put on notice on how what America's capabilities are. So what did they do? They the first few days they take out the leader, the supreme leader, then they take out the four successors, then they take out the leader of all their branches, their military the intelligence, defense, and all that. Then when the leadership that's left get together, they take all of them out. And that's the thing that people don't understand. When you do all of that, what you're doing is you're empowering the people that's there. You're removing their fear where they're going to take back their country. Just like how Venezuela, they working their stuff out. They about to have their elections and everything. Chevron done went back there because people don't understand. Like Venezuela kicked Chevron, they kicked the companies out. But because America built all the refineries that was in Venezuela, just like America built the Panama Canal, and Jimmy Carter gave it back for $1. But they were never supposed to charge the US to use it. And that's where they broke the rules. But Venezuela, they owe, I think, like $18 billion to Chevron. So Chevron is back in Venezuela. They're retrofitting their pumps, that they originally built, and they're getting back what's owed to them. And the thing is, when we talk about, like, I got gas today, gas has gone up about 10 cents a gallon, since it's kicked off. But the thing is, like, all the oil that comes from like that,
30 cents up this way.
Yeah, but all the stuff that comes from Iran, all that oil, that don't have anything to do here. It's going to affect Japan, South Korea. 50% of China's oil they get from Iran.
Yeah, I was watching that.
So it's affecting them more, but because oil is on a global market, yeah, it's going to make the cost in the US go up some. But I'm telling you, if that cat says it will be done in 4 to 5 weeks, that joker crazy enough, I believe that. I honestly believe it, because everything has, like, they bombed Iran, what, 4 or 5 months ago? They didn't tell nobody. We found out after it had been done. They was already on the way back. They already fueled up in Germany, heading back to Montana. That's how powerful our military is. And that's what people don't understand. Like, Iran, they don't have no Air Force no more. They don't have no Navy no more. And you can't win any war without maritime support. You have to own the sea, especially when you're surrounded by it. That's why the US Navy is so big. It's second only to China. But our ships are a lot more powerful than theirs because we're surrounded by water, except for Canada. So we need a strong maritime force. So that's what, I went to the Army War College before I got pimped my 7. So, it opens your eyes. When you, before you, where I was at in group, before you get pimped Sergeant First Class, I had to graduate from the Army War College. So you learn all those concepts.
You're saying pin.
Yeah, you're promoted
before you get your pin. Gotcha. Sound like you said pimped out. That's why I said
what? Yeah. But that's the thing right there that people don't understand is like there's a science to this. Like people was talking about that cat Pete Hegseth wasn't qualified, to be the Secretary of Defense, now Secretary of War. I'm like, that joker got an undergrad degree from Princeton in organizational management. Then he has a master's from Harvard in policy, in public policy. He been to war. He got 3 combat stripes. So he at least did like 9 tours overseas in a war zone. He got 2 Bronze Stars. That means he was under fire. I got 1 Bronze Star. He got 2 of them. So the thing is like he's educated on policy. He's educated on organizational management. He has the experience of being at war. He's been there, so he's not sending soldiers into something that he ain't never been in. And it's like he actually exercises, works out with the Marines, the Army, the special operations. He up there doing pull-ups just like them. If you know about being a soldier, the best morale booster that a senior NCO or officer can give to the troops is to be there doing the same exercises, working out with them. That's building cohesion. That's leadership.
That applies in the workforce place too. You know what I mean? Like, I don't get it all that there, but yeah.
But I'm just looking with the track record so far in a little bit over a year as a Secretary of War. What has he done that has where he has failed a mission? Because when we look at our last Secretary of Defense, he was in the dang on ICU for a week. The second in charge was on vacation. She was on vacation on the beach in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Like, what type of leadership is that? So I just tell folks, like, anytime people say somebody's not qualified, I always tell them, what's one example of something that they've done to show you they're not qualified? Oh, they were on the news. I'm like, everybody that's in this administration, 80% of them are communicators. The best way for an administration to do is to be able to communicate what you're trying to do, to get that message out there.
Hey, so Drew said, while all of this is happening, Sam, Israel is getting hammered. Because I got a question for you too. While all this is happening, Sam, Israel is getting hammered. U.S. might need to lend Israel some of that machinery. I guess he want to know how you feel about that.
Well, the thing is, Israel, like their Iron Dome, the U.S. just gave them their iron laser. This is the first time that the laser has been used. The Iron Dome only can stop so much. So basically, they're bombarding with drones and missiles and stuff, and it's depleting the Iron Dome. So of course, certain things are going to get in, but the way the Iron Dome is set up, it's going to allow some of the missiles or the drones to go through that are going to hit areas that's not occupied by people. So when they're saying, okay, well, there's explosions and stuff going on in Israel, it's like, it's no major buildings. It's places to where there ain't people there. The Iron Dome is protecting the populated areas, but because that's starting to get depleted, they just unleashed that iron laser, and they showed it on TV for the first time yesterday. So it's one of those things that the U.S. always has to be involved in anything because the way we do our trade. That's the reason why when I was in the service, man, before I used to always think, man, why are we going to Haiti? Why are we going to Bosnia? Why are we over here in Saudi burning up? But then as I became more, when I hit my 8th year, then my 12th year, then my 15th year, it started to hit me that trade affects us because we went from being at the gold standard, like you had back in the 40s, you see a dollar and it would have gold certificate on it. But then FDR seized all the gold, and if you got caught with an ounce of gold, you got 10 years in prison. He started seizing all the gold. And next thing you know, you look at the dollar and now it says silver certificate. You familiar with that?
Mm-hmm.
So it used to be gold, then it went to silver. Then when they started doing like social services and all that and started saying, okay, well, we can make all this off trade. Now it just says certificate of debt. Our US dollar now is based off of debt. So we have to trade, we have to make sure all this stuff. That's why like I'm sitting here like, why are people hating on like the tariff stuff? Because if you go back like in history, nobody paid income tax prior to 1904. Nobody. In 1904, they said, okay, we're only going to charge income tax for people that make over 40,000.
Mm-hmm.
So back then, 40,000 to now is 150,000. So now we look at like things are being put in place to like remove federal income tax. Like who wouldn't want that?
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want like a bank account set up for your kids that the government funded? Like you didn't have to contribute to, but they're getting an index fund account based off the S&P 500. Like who wouldn't want that stuff? But because it's a specific person leading the administration, you have so many people, especially in the Black community, that's missing their blessings, that's sleeping on it. When all these Indians, all these Somalis, all these white folks, all these other people, they taking advantage of, they registering for their kids for their Trump accounts. They registering for all of this. They registering for everything because it's out there. So now they taking like your 401k, they're trying to get that passed so that you can use it to put down for a house without getting penalized. You can buy a vehicle without being penalized. Like I'm sitting there like, who wouldn't want that? So that's just the weirdest thing to me. That's why I'm glad to be unaffiliated, because it makes me just look at everybody's stuff to see what's benefit. Do I feel like we need to be in all these countries fighting? No, but I know it's something we have to do because we have to make sure trade is continuing to move around the world, because that's how our economy is based off of that.
Yeah, I was about to say the world is a worldwide barter system. I remember that's one of the first words I learned in history and at grammar school about the barter
Yeah.
system. It's like a worldwide barter system at the end of the day. That's really what it comes down to. I know you ain't. I know you asked Sam you with me. I ain't with helping Israel in the long term as far as them trying to take Palestine land. You know what I mean? I don't think they need no help and assistance in that there because I don't believe that they should be doing that. But that's neither here nor there.
Hey,
What's good, Tasha?
could I respond to what Tasha said? She said, I feel there's still a level of government control with the Trump accounts. Anytime our whole system is based off of government control. Because when you go to work, Tasha, you look at your stuff, it got FICA,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Social Security, federal income tax. It's being sucked. You basically done work. You done busted your butt all week or all month or however you get paid. You done busted your butt. Now, because you work, you're being taxed by the government because you worked. So when you take that money that you was taxed by the government to go buy you something. You already done paid federal income tax, FICA, Social Security on that $1. Now you take that dollar to the store and you got to pay taxes for what you buy
again.
with that $1. Like, how many times do you got to pay the taxes? So when it comes to like that Trump account, if somebody has a child that's born between 2025 and 2029, that's okay, it's control, but it's $1,000 that your child gets in the S&P 500 index fund that you didn't have to contribute to. Yeah, the government can have control. If the government took that $1,000 out of my pocket, okay, I would probably be thinking the same thing. But I didn't have nothing came out of my pocket for it. You know,
But
now
how much of that though, Sam, is like, like urban legends and stuff like that too. And I'm not saying that it is, but I'm just saying, like, we see the scenarios in the movies, or this here and that there, where, all right, well, look, what they say, nothing in life is free. He's giving this away, but what is going to be that favor that I'm going to owe you in the long run? You know what I'm saying? If you grew up in the hood, they see you broke, whatever, and, you got like people like Marlo on the wire or whatever come through. Hey, here you go, man. Here go $200 for all you kids to go school shopping. You know what I'm saying? What they do, they all took that. Hey, man, who will turn that $200? Michael was the only one that stood solid in this scenario. I'm just using this as an example. Michael was the only one that said, nah, man. Nah, man, I don't want that money. And what happened in turn? Marlo said, yo, that kid's different. Let's keep an eye on him. And he became part of Marlo's crew, so to speak. All because he's seen, okay, it's something fishy. Don't nobody just give nobody $200 out of the kindness of their heart. Like, who builds this account? So, like you say, is it a stipulation where, or is it programming, like you said earlier, to say, well, you know what? Let's go ahead and set this up now, because when these people are old enough to vote, guess what? My son might just be running, or who I want to be, and that's when we gonna call that favor in, so to speak.
Well, you want me to know what you this is for Tasha also, but to me, it's not just for nothing, because with the Trump account thing, now you got billionaires like the guy who made Dell Computers, him and his wife. They did the research, so all the other kids that don't fit in that 4-year window, they basically said, well, we're going to see $250 into 25. They calculated that it's like 25 million kids. So they said, we're going to donate $6.5 billion. Elon Musk said he's going to donate 140 billion to put $1,000 in all those accounts. This is the thing. When them rich folks want to, if Elon want to give $1,000 into my grandkids' account, I'm not complaining. It ain't coming out of my pocket. If Dell Computers want to donate $6.5 billion, guess what? It ain't coming out of my pocket. But when you talk about the educating ourselves, this is the thing. As a community, we have become so dependent on the government for assistance that we will sit there and not want to learn anything. Like, look what they did in Washington State. The governor signed a bill like 3 years ago. It went through the Congress that in order to graduate from high school, you don't have to pass out one reading or math course, because she said it's hurting Black and brown kids to have to be required to take math and reading. So the thing is, you here in Raleigh, the only way that your kid is going to be taught financial literacy is if they go to Cardinal Gibbons, Ravenscroft, they got in RCA, they got to go to a private school, because they started to remove financial literacy out of public schools. They removed it out because if kids in the Black community started learning financial literacy, taxation, and all that stuff,
out of their pocket.
They not going to be spending money so freely like they have been doing. instead of buying some Jordans. That's why I tell parents all the time. I said, if you make sure your child has the latest and greatest, I said, don't be mad when they come out to be horrible kids because you built that beast. You were the one who spoiled them with material stuff. When I hear adults talk about, oh, my kids only wear Jordans, these kids ain't never seen Jordan play. But we done programmed our own kids that you only wear Jordans. When we buy all these dang on Louis Vuitton pocketbooks and Gucci's, it's all made in China. The final assembly is done in Milan, Italy, or Paris, just so they can say it's officially made there. But it all starts in China.
And that, to your point, because I wanted to, before I forget, I wanted to get back to that too. And this is not no judgment on anybody whatsoever. I ain't into that. But that's my whole point overall of things. Even with the educational being skeptical sometimes here and there, we pick and choose what we gonna believe in and what we not gonna believe in. And the reason that I say that is because you talked about programming. People don't understand sometimes how powerful programming is. That's why, especially when it comes to religion, when it comes to education, when it comes to sport, whatever it is, that's why I always tell people anything that has been learned can also be unlearned. You know what I mean? Especially when you go on a deep dive, when you go down the rabbit hole for yourself and do your own investigation. You know what I'm saying? When you stop, well, Big Mama always said, it don't matter what Big Mama always said. Big Mama had an 8th grade education. You know what I mean? It don't matter what Daddy said, because Daddy you know what I mean? Not to belittle those people or their accomplishments or who they are, but guess what? It wasn't factual what was handed down, what was taught to me. You know what I mean? And it made me think about that what Ronnie said with the military gonna always support the military. I remember having a conversation with one of my cousins. I can't remember what we was talking about, and I was like, you know what? Now I get it. There's no need to even debate because we wasn't arguing, but there's not even a point to go on and debating about this because what she was saying was, being in the military, it didn't really matter what you thought or how you feel. When you was giving orders, you just did them. You know what I mean? And it made me think, you know what? You're absolutely right. And that in itself is a form of programming. You know what I mean? You accepted the program that, okay, it don't matter whether I vote for Harris, it don't matter whether I vote for Trump. No matter who wins, that's going to be my boss. And whatever they say, go. As somebody that's an active duty in the military. You know what I mean? So I get it when people talk about the structure of things, the chain of command, you know what I mean? But it's got to be real. We got to be real careful of what we programmed. What part of what program we are. You see what I'm saying? Because we might believe that is right, but it might be we might have picked on the wrong side of a losing fight. You see what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, whether it's the Detroit Lions or the Giants, we both love football, but somebody's gonna lose. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean that anybody got to die. Doesn't mean that anybody got to break an arm or tear ACL. But at the end of overall, somebody's going to lose in that contest. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's going to be winners and losers. So we got to be real careful. I just wanted to put that out there. We got to be real careful of what program we are going to. I always try to tell people, I say it all the time, The Matrix is by far the most spiritual movie ever to me. Like, I ain't talking about the best movie ever. It's the best spiritual movie for period. Because what does it come down to? Either you're going to take the red pill or you're going to take the blue pill. Then you had my boy, what was his name? Cyphius, who had done took the pill. But guess what? His reality of what was real, it was too much for him. I want to go back to, well, I know that this ain't a steak that I'm eating. Like, that information overload of knowing the truth. And like he said, like one of my favorite lines in any movie, Jack Nicholas, you can't handle the truth. And that's why when you say what he said earlier, I thought about that. Like I'm laughing about it, but that's really the truth of the matter. A lot of times when on that great day, whatever your belief system is, when we all caught up in the rapture, or we stand before God on Judgment Day, or the pie in the sky, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
When the books is open and everything is revealed, I believe that everybody that's ever been alive is going to be shocked
Yeah.
because you know what I mean. Like, oh, I had no idea. I thought that was a
Mm-hmm.
forest. I could have never imagined a God allowing this to happen, or with people who say that. That's why I don't judge people for how they believe, however you want to believe. But I get it sometimes when atheists say things that's crazy to me. Like, well, if there was a guy, how could he let somebody have cancer? How could he let newborn babies die and all this other kind of stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Everything in life is, guess what? Polar opposites. There's no such thing as living a totally carefree, blessed life where you don't have to worry about anything. That's why you see all these millionaires and billionaires, they lose 1-0, and these mugs are jumping out of the 50th floor window. You know what I mean? Because
Mm-hmm.
money can't buy you happiness and all this different things. So you think like everything, there's no such thing as a carefree life. There's going to be obstacles. There's going to be hardships. And I said I'm gonna get into that in the show because I'm working on a piece. I done got back into my writings, but I'm still playing with the title. But I said I want to bring it on the show maybe next month when I finish it. But the truth of the matter, as far as I'm concerned, is you can't have love without pain.
Yeah.
And I want to really deep dive into that. There's no such thing as love without pain because if you really,
Mm-hmm.
really love someone or you love something, it's going to be painful when that thing comes to an end or when that
Yeah.
thing ceases to exist or that thing is over. You know what I mean? But guess what?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes life goes on. That's why I try to tell people in the workplace all the time. As much as tragic as tragic as it sounds, you could work for a company for 24 years. You could work for a company for 37 years. You pass away, within a week time, that position is filled.
Mm-hmm.
Your desk is going to be taken over by somebody else. And then
Yeah.
you wondering why all these people looking at you weird because you got this position that they co-worker that, you know what I mean? But it's inevitable. Life goes on. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times I think we sometimes, especially as black people, not well, we got the Karens of the world too, but as black people, we so emotionally charged. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? We're right now and way things seem. And what's the first thing we say when we find out the truth of the matter? Well, I didn't know. Well, that's not a
Mm-hmm.
good enough excuse. How about you find out before you get so emotionally involved to a thing? You know what I mean? Then you don't have to worry about backtracking and eating the humble pie saying, you know what? Well, at the time, this is what, because this is how I feel. Like, it ain't always about how you feel. What is the fact of the
Mm-hmm.
matter of things? You know what I'm saying? So that's why I like that way that you broke that down earlier. Because like I said, me, I'm anti-war. That's why I always like talking to you and my god brother and a few other people that's in the military because I'm not a thing. I'm not a fan of war. I'm all about peace. I'm out about um. It's like this, and that's why I said what I said earlier. I thought about it like this. In the hood, you got people that's like, I would never sell no drugs. I'm not taking no part in the killing of my own people and the demise of my own people and ripping children from their mothers and because they want to be doing drugs and all this other kind of stuff. Then
Mm-hmm.
you got the other person that's in the same family that you love dearly that say, you know what? Well, shoot, they're gonna buy the drugs anyway. I
Yeah.
might as well give me some money. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that one is wrong, the other one is right. You know what I mean? Or one is, more potent. But that's just the fact of reality. You know what I mean? There's always
Yeah.
gonna be somebody that, you know what? Well, shoot, that's more money for me. I ain't worried about
Mm-hmm.
it. You know what I'm saying? So I understand the necessity when you talk about world views. I understand the necessity of war. That's why I like to bring people that can educate me on this. I text one of my good friends earlier, and we're gonna try to work on something in the next couple of weeks. We get them on here again to talk about some things, and the same thing. Hopefully, you'll be able to chime in as well. I want both of y'all on the same show so I can hear, a conversation amongst you guys. But
Mhm.
is a necessary evil, so to speak. I guess in terms
Yeah.
of the military, and I just wanted to be one of those. It's like even when you think about the constructs of a church or football. I go back to football. I always think everything back to sports. When I go, I seen my boy Big Joe Crocker. He's my left tackle in high school. That dude that said "What up, Marv" earlier. He was my left tackle in high school. But guess what? We always on the same team, but I wasn't worried about what was going on in the lineman meetings. As a quarterback and as a safety, that wasn't my responsibility to know what they know. You know what I mean? Now, as a
Yeah.
quarterback, I wanted to know. I went above and beyond because that's the one thing I always try to tell people is the difference about being a quarterback, almost like being a pastor of a church or whatever the case may be. You ain't got to be well versed in everything, but the difference is like as a running back, as a fullback or a halfback, you just got to know your assignments. You know what I mean? Whereas a
Mhm.
quarterback, I need to know what a quarterback need to do, but it is in my best interest. Not that I need to, but it's in my best interest to know the blocking assignment for the left tackle versus the right tackle, what the tight end's supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? All at the same time while I'm reading the defense. Like, that's just a better equipping myself to making it so I'll be able to tell them, like, look, you're supposed to pick up the defensive end, not the linebacker on that there when we run this play again, so to speak. But if I don't educate myself and enough to know that what not just worried about myself again. Like I said
Mhm.
earlier, while we over there messing our Iran business, I'm using that as an analogy. Like, guess what? That's just the way I feel on that. But it's in a military person, you know what? No, we need to look at the world view. We need to understand that it's not just about us. It's bigger than us or just
Mhm.
our assignment in this one particular play or the big scheme of things. Because our end goal at the end of the day is to win the game. So I'm glad you brought that up, and that was a good point. But like I said, I just want to give people sometimes just question yourself, and that's something that I've learned maybe when I got 40. Like I think that everybody should get to that point in place of time if you haven't already been there. But really ask yourself and have a real conversation with yourself of why do you believe what it is that you believe?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Is it because that's what you would learn to believe? Is that what you was taught, brought up? You know what I mean? You got people. As soon as you walk in their house, nah, you gotta leave your shoes at the door, whatever. That's cool. And you got some people, hey, you need to take that hat off in the house. Marv, how you? I can't even watch this show. You doing a whole broadcast inside some place you got a hat on? That's mad disrespectful.
Mhm.
Okay, that's what that is for you. You know what I'm saying? I ain't shaving my head today, so I ain't want to be looking like, ooh, bar. That's why I do a hat on. You know what I'm saying? And that's about right. So I get that everybody's totally different. But when you said it earlier, it just struck a nerve in me because it bothers me sometimes. And everybody is free to live their life how they choose to live it. But it kills me how when I see people, well, yeah, I got the Louis Vuitton. I'm driving my Mercedes Benz. Life is good. I'm winning. But that's based off of what standard? Because some commercial told you that that's high status. Like, do Louis Vuitton
Mhm.
care about you? I remember the whole thing back in the 90s was with Hilfiger. We loved Hilfiger. I know I loved Hilfiger and the clothes. Even Timberlands, who I'm guilty of still wearing to this day. I must have said if I'd have known that black people were gonna be buying Timbs like that, I would have never made them because I ain't make them for them. But guess what? Having that information, I still choose to wear Timbs, like because I'm programmed to that way, being from where I'm from, that I love my Timbs. You know what I mean? So, and it made me saying it out loud. Actually, made me want to stop rocking Timbs like that. But we ain't had no problem with cutting off Hilfiger when he said what he said. Then when he seen the decline in themselves in his pocket, he tried to switch it up. Oh no, well, I ain't mean it like that. It was taken out of context. Nah, you said what you said, bro. You just
Mhm.
missing that money because sad thing about it is, just think about it. In hip hop alone, what's the best advertisement? To get one of your hottest artists to do it. Ain't nobody know what Balenciaga was until Kanye started talking about Balenciaga. The average person ain't know what no Coogee sweater was until Biggie said it in a rhyme. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but you know what? It was in our face the
The
whole
Cosby Show.
time on the
Yeah,
Cosby Show,
I was
Different
about to say that.
World. They was rocking it, and we didn't even know what it was.
And that's the point that I'm making. That's the point that I'm making. Because I was always a sweater dude, even in high school. And people were like, here you go with your Bill Cosby sweater on. No, I just like sweaters. I wasn't wearing it because Bill Cosby wore it or because Biggie said it around. I just love sweaters. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But that was my choice. I'm not doing it because the status quo or society tells me. I'm not going to let society dictate to me what's cool. If I really genuinely love Lee jeans, not Levi's. If I genuinely love Lee's or Wranglers, I don't care what. Oh man, yo, look at this boy. This boy got on a pair of Wranglers.
Did you ever have the pinstripe leaves?
Nah, see, because when I say I was poor, bro, I never, I didn't have nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have no name brands and stuff like that there, which was cool. So when I got, and people like used to say that too a lot of times now, like when I got older in my 30s and my 40s, and they be like, I remember my god says, or my son, my youngest son, Elisha, he teased me like, you know what, look, man, for your birthday, man, what you need to do is let me style you, yo. You got to stop dressing like it's 1993. And another one of my friends told me that, like, Marvin, she told me, she's like, Marvin, that's a nice shirt, but this is not 1995. And I'm like, I realized subconsciously a lot of the stuff that I buy and I dictate now is predicated on what I wanted back then, but couldn't afford. So I don't really care that it's out of style now. I like it. Now I might be 20, 30 years late.
Look, I got a Nisei jean jacket and top and bottom that I got from Dr. J's, up in Brooklyn,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
years ago. And my wife's like, "When you gonna throw that out?" Like when we go to the storage unit and stuff, she's like, "When you gonna throw it?" I said, "Girl, I'm about to rock this." I said, "Look," I
I'm
said,
just
"Let
waiting for the
me."
right occasion.
I said, "Well," I said, "Let me lose this 15 pounds." I said, "I'm gonna be rocking."
And we were just talking about the other day, deodoras, and because
Uh huh.
I was having that debate before we get up out of here. I was having that debate with somebody the other day, well, a couple of weeks ago now at work, and I'm one of those people like, and I was talking to my brother about it earlier today. Like, yo, I don't tolerate no lying. I don't tolerate capping, what the young people call capping,
Hmm.
especially when I know you lying. There's nobody that's over 40 years old. What we was doing was we was having a conversation, and the dude was asking me about Jordans, like how many pair of Jordans I ever had or whatever. And I'm like, I don't have any Jordans. I've never purchased a pair of Jordans in my life, never will, because I don't rock with Mike like that. And I ain't never really been a sneakerhead. Let's start right there. But I'm not buying no Jordans. So my friend Rodney that was in the comments earlier, he talked about, you know what, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna buy you some Jordans. I said, brother, don't even waste your money because I'm never wearing them. I'm never gonna wear a pair of Jordans. That's just me. But I'm like, when we was talking about it, it was like, well, if you don't wear Jordans, what you wear? I'm like, you got Air Max, you got, yeah. I said back in the day, you had the Dion's, you had the Bo Jacksons, you had the CB3s, which is my favorite sneaker of all time.
Hmm.
You can hear I'm a Nike guy, but we didn't just wear Nike. I remember the AC gels. I remember the British Nike. Oh, how about this? Did y'all have these in Detroit? Did y'all have remember the Porsche 911 and the Lamborghinis? I forgot who did them. I want to say it was a subsidiary of um who did the man, who was that? I gotta
I
look it up.
think Puma.
It might have been a subsidiary of Puma or I'm trying to think of who it was, but they
Because
had like
right
the
now,
car.
Puma still sell like Ferrari sneakers,
Mhm,
and they real streamlined because a lot of people don't know that when you see not the NASCAR but the Formula One racers,
mhm.
they wear Pumas.
Okay.
Like the only ones that don't wear Pumas, I think, is Jordan's race club.
Well, of course.
They were Jordans, yeah.
uh,
But I know you was winding things down, but I just wanted to, see how you felt about, the QB from Colorado passing away.
yeah, I meant to say that earlier, and I got started late. My condolences to him and his family, man. It
Yeah,
was just
Ponder.
I didn't even really see a lot about it, but it was the 20. I see he was only 23 years old. Was it a car accident?
Yeah, he was speeding and was going too fast around the curve, and he hit the guardrail and fell down the mountain.
Mm, mm, mm. It's,
'Cause,
it's, it's
Colorado got some, like, people think Colorado's all mountains. It's not. It's really flat. But then
mm-hmm.
you got your area where it is, and a lot of people like to go out there and drive, kind of like the Western North Carolina. They call it the Dragon's Tail, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people take their motorcycles up there. But yeah, he was driving his Tesla, and I think they said he was probably going close to like 80, 90 around the curve, and just went over the guardrail.
It's tragic, man. That's why I
Yeah.
always say, like, even in how I usually close the show, man, we gotta really get to the point where we stop taking so many things, especially life and time in general, for granted.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, a lot, I get it. I used to be a knucklehead racing out there on the streets in Jersey and whatnot, and I just thank God so many times as the old people used to say, it used to get me when I was a kid, but when I look back over my life, and sometimes
Mhm.
you know, when I think of the goodness, and
Yeah.
sometimes it triggers something because I think about so many situations I've put myself into, not life put me in, but I've put myself into that I
Mhm.
shouldn't be sitting here today. So I can't do nothing but thank my Almighty for the fact that I'm still here because I do not deserve to be here.
Yeah.
It's nothing of my own. It's not my choice. It's not my, you know what I mean? It's something greater, higher than me that I'm still here. Um, so I definitely, condolences to his family, but it's real tragic, you know. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's real tragic. So condolences to his family and the Colorado family. I didn't get a chance to read it. I was seeing Dion was under the hot seat or something because I guess Marshall Falk left and Warren Sapp left, or whatever the case may be. He's going through a whole coaching staff change, whatever. I don't know, but
I think Warren's. When I hear Warren Sapp talk, like I'm a Warren Sapp fan. Like I've always like when he was with Tampa Bay, like I just always been a fan of his, but he said he was suffering from like a lot of depression. And
thank you,
he
Doc.
happened he happened to talk to Dion and stuff, and he was like, man, you need to come on and coach. Come on up here to Colorado, motivate these kids. And Warren is like, he's like, man, you don't realize how close to committing suicide I was at. He
Mm-hmm.
was like, to be around those kids and see them inspire, like it was like his, like, I don't think coaching was Warren Sapp's passion,
Just something that
but
he needed at that particular
he
time.
needed.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't expect him because everybody's not meant to coach, and I think Dion is at a point also to where he ain't he in the hot seat. Like you know, as far as being the coach of Colorado, he in the hot seat because you are getting now 4 5-star players like that Colorado ain't never got before, and you're getting all these kids transferring in, like, and to me the writing was on the wall when that old lineman left, Seaton.
Mm-hmm.
Like he going in the first round, probably top 10. When he left, because he was ripping all the players that was in there in the portal, he was like, man, what happened to the brotherhood? What happened to the brotherhood?
He
And
recruiting.
now he done hopped in the portal. And people are now going after him like, oh, what happened to the brotherhood?
Mm-hmm.
So,
You
at the
got me to
end of
come
the
over here now. You leaving?
yeah, so at the end of the day, I think I'm a Dion fan. Like I am a Dion fan. Like I almost got a Jerry curl because of him. Like I never did, but I used to put gel in my. It would be like a poor man's Jerry curl. But I think he's also going through a lot. Having bladder cancer,
Mm-hmm.
having losing half his foot, losing his calf. Like he going through. Like,
Mm,
like it's hitting him from all directions. And then to lose a player that was possibly going to be his starter this year, even though it's not about football, it's about the
yeah,
young
yeah,
man
yeah,
lost
yeah.
his life. But
Mm-hmm.
he really felt connected to that kid and stuff. So I just think it's I just hope they have a decent season, like something, because I'm always going to be like Team Dion because I I watched his show, how he raised his boys, how he talked about how important it was for young men to have a strong male in their life.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that they get through this. I hope he does well. Um and also Tasha, the one that was chiming in earlier, um I would like to, offline you let me know more about her nonprofit
Okay.
that
Yeah,
that she mentioned.
I definitely get y'all together, sync y'all up. Oh, but
Yeah,
yeah, I was saying what I was saying about that. There, the dude that I was that coworker that I was talking to, when I was talking about all the old sneakers, the Bo Jacksons and this here, and the Dooms and the Shell Toes and all the different phases, the Deodoras. Uh, this dude my age. I'm assuming he about my age. He anywhere between 50, 55. He's not
yeah,
under 45, which is why I call Cat. He gonna have to order says that. Well, I don't know, because all I ever wore was Jordans. You's a liar. Anybody that's our age that say all they wore was Jordans. Because even if you was a Bulls fan, there was so many different hot sneakers. Now, if you 30 and you say something like all you ever wore was Jordans your whole life, to your point earlier, that's because that's what your parents was buying you, whatever. You might be able to get away with that. But there's nobody in the world that's 50 years old that ain't never had no Reeboks, that ain't never had no pumps, no AC gels. You know what I'm saying? The Air
yeah.
Force Ones, the Air Max. You 50 years old and all you ever wore was Jordans. Dude, don't ever say another word to me because all you do is lie. That's
Man,
the point I was getting on that earlier.
you know the I had I'm not sure if you remember the Patrick Ewins had the strap.
Me and my brother were talking about dude.
I had though, like I didn't get, like, honestly, I didn't have any Jordans. I didn't get a pair of Jordans till I got in the military. Like, but growing up in high school, it was like my sister bought us some British Walker Adidas. They were like the Stan Smith, but they was all black, and the
Mm-hmm.
label was like the gold foil, but they're
Mm-hmm.
called British Walker Adidas.
Yeah.
And then I had some troops, you know.
BK. Troops. All right, so whoever makes troops is making the ones that I was talking about with the nine. They had the Porsche 911s, they had the Ferraris, they had the Lamborghinis, and it was almost like the spot built made with a
Yeah,
they had that color.
Saucony's. Yeah,
Yeah,
spot built.
yeah. There you go, Saucony's. I want to say that they was the parent company. Saucony parent company was the ones that did this here, and it was only like a quick thing. But I remember it was like nothing but these high end cars, and you would see like the drug dealers and the big boys. Ooh, he got
I
on the
think
Porsche
that
911.
was the troops.
Okay, yeah, so
The
troops.
troops would have that on it, like Lamborghini and all that. Yeah, because they had the snake skin ones and all, like, but they wasn't an expensive sneaker,
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't wear, like, all throughout. Like, I remember one year I had something on kangaroos with the pocket on the side, like, because we wasn't, my dad was military and he just didn't believe in buying luxury stuff or
Mm-hmm.
things. He's like, you getting these thing on Cougar Royals, you getting these thing on he take me to some place and get they was the Fadidas. Instead of having three stripes, they had four stripes. And I remember taking getting his military sewing kit and trying to remove one of the stripes. But yeah, and then there was some shoes I was wearing, Champions. I'm not,
Yeah, that's
like,
another one.
so I didn't have any, like, through high school, I ain't had no Nike. I ain't had no, my dad just didn't, he's like, I'm gonna put clothes on your back, food on
Mhm.
the table, and a roof over
That's
your
it.
head.
That's it.
He wouldn't mind if the shoes is over 40 or 50. Like 50 was considered luxury to my dad. Like he's
Mhm.
like, it's a waste of
Exactly.
money.
Exactly. Yeah, Favor. I don't know if y'all had Favor in Detroit. You had Favor. We had this Favor was like before Payless. It was a place called
No, it
Favor.
wasn't one of the.
FAVA. Like you ain't want to go see me saying going into Favor to get those sneakers and shoes and stuff like that there. But my last point before we get out of here though, speaking of that, and which is why I always when I talked about the programming earlier, um, my father was not military whatsoever, but my father had the same mentality. My father gave me $3 every single day for school, $1 to catch the bus there, $1 to catch the bus home, and $1 for lunch. You know what I mean? That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. So what I used to do is I would walk to school on Monday, leave super early on Monday. That way I would take the whole $3, because by this time I was popular enough I could mess with the cafeteria ladies, get lunch for free. So I would take my $3, buy what we call bus tickets. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And bus tickets at the time was like 50 cents. You could find, people had this deal. You know how it is in the hood. Some people would sell them for 75, some people quarter, you know, get my bus tickets, and I got enough. I take that $3, and that's enough for my bus fare for the rest of the week. So now on Tuesday, I got a little cushion money. Hopefully by the weekend, I got a little $10, $15 to play with over the weekend. You know what I mean? You couldn't tell us nothing back then. But I remember my sophomore year, my dad buying me the pumps. This was the D Brown pumps, the Reebok pumps.
Yeah, y'all have money.
No, this is the first time. Look, this was so funny. My birthday's October, but I remember my father. When I say floored, I was floored. I could not believe
Cause
that my
them
dad
pumps was
bought me.
$100.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't believe it. And I remember him telling me, like, look, this your birthday present, this your Christmas present. Don't you have that, right? But listen, I got him on a Thursday. I wore him to school that Friday. So I'm thinking I'm about to kill it. I'm gonna be the first one in West Side with the black pumps. But, I think we got snowed out or something and couldn't go to school that Friday. We get there Monday. I walk in and it's like people with it's like 20 of us with the black pumps. So it took the whole steam out my thing. I hear this. I'm about to be the first one to show off with these pumps. And now, over 20 people got them. And that was the first time I learned in life a life lesson about what do I put my how do I want to word it? What do I put my priorities in? What really matters when it comes to, you know what I mean? What people say and what people think. Because especially like you said, when you come from less fortunate, we always, oh man, I wish I could wear some Jordans, or I wish I could have a cool members only jacket and this here and that there. But then when you
Mhm.
get it, guess what? It's just like we always talk about with Dion winning the Super Bowl. Like you work all your life to win the Super Bowl. When you finally hold that trophy, it's like, but something is still missing. You know what that
Mhm.
missing is? That relationship with your almighty, your higher power, whatever you want to call them. You know what I'm saying? And that's
Yeah.
what we really need to be focused on at the end of the day. Not how much money we got in our pocket, not what we're driving, not where we're living at in a gated community, whatever the case may be, because you can still have all those things and be miserable and don't have peace. Peace
Mhm.
is priceless. The older I get, I realize that peace is priceless. And at the time of my life now, where I've got to learn what peace is and what it feels like, I refuse. And I do mean refuse. I will lose my life fighting for my peace. I'm not letting
Yeah.
nobody take my peace from me now that I know what that is about. Because you can't, that's something that you can't buy.
Yeah.
So again, let that be the little tidbit, something that for y'all to think about for the rest of the week, whatever. But why do you believe what you believe? And we can revisit that conversation next week on the show. But really ask yourself, you know what I mean? Why is
Yeah.
it that I believe the things I believe? Do I really believe that? Or is it something that I was taught that I need to unlearn? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Hmm.
Surprised where that going down that rabbit hole, having that conversation with yourself, and if you be surprised where it takes you. You know what I mean? But when
Yeah.
you do that conversation, I pray that you do it prayerfully. You know what I mean? You
Hmm.
let you be led in that in your spirit by what path you need to take because everybody has a different role to play. I always try to tell people I ain't never heard my left foot complain about my right hand being all the way up here. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? They're part of everybody with different objectives and different goals, but for one common goal, and that's to be a healthy body, so to speak, or to play his own part. So we're gonna get up out of here, man. You had anything in closing?
No, just I hope everybody have an amazing week. It's grass season, so I can't wait to get out there a few times a week, cut the grass, and just that's my space.
Oh, real quick, 90 seconds, because that's what I wanted to ask you earlier. Jew question threw me off. The whole Iran thing and with this war, um, Israel, America, USA tackle Iran. Iran response, as opposed to going after Israel or the United States, they attacking Dubai. They're attacking all these
Saudi
different places.
Arabia, they're attacking
Yeah,
they just shooting.
everybody around them. What is that about? Why are
They're
you not
trying
going after the people that's coming? Good.
because when they would say death to America, they would say death to the West. So when they talk about like the Western civilizations like Europe, Saudi Arabia, they're talking about all these things. So what they
Okay.
doing, and to me, that's when I know we at the end of it because they getting desperate where they just firing off because they only have so many warheads. They only have so many drones, so many missiles. Because that $1.7 billion that Obama paid them, that's what they bought. That's what they used the money for. So to me, it's an act of desperation. It is over. Like when Trump said 4 weeks, maybe five, that's like to me a worst case scenario. They don't have their whole leadership. The top 100 people are gone. Like they
Mm-hmm.
made it to the point where people are scared to become the leader because they're being taken out. Because a lot of people that are in that, the U.S. done paid them off. The CIA done paid them off. So they snitching. How else do you? How else did they know that all the leadership was in that specific building voting on the next successor?
Yeah, because I said it was like it was supposed to be like 40 of them together.
It
40
was
of
like
like the
60 of them.
highest. So that's like taking out the Pentagon.
Yeah, like it's
You
no,
know?
it's like taking out what they did is like taking out the White House, the Congress, the Senate, and the Pentagon.
Oh wow. See, I thought it
Like
was
they
just like the military officials. I didn't realize that it was powers to be and all that. I thought it was like the highest people, the highest 40 people in a military rank,
Yeah,
not
because
just the
the
general.
supreme leader was like their president.
Okay.
Like they took out, so at least the top 100 people are gone. And every time somebody step up, they got all them spies all over Iran. And matter of fact, they formed a task force to find out who the spies was, and the people that was on the task force were spies. It's like the police officer that he let the drug dealers go, but the drug dealers are snitching on other people.
Mm-hmm.
Stay with. Let me sell my stuff, but I'm gonna give you old boy over here.
Yeah.
Like that's what man is. They don't have no leadership now. All they have right now, just like when you heard about the school getting bombed, Iran shot down the school. I mean, they misfired the missile and it came back and it hit that school.
Okay.
Like they got a lot of places that because they cut off the internet. The internet they haven't had it for years. They don't have no social media. So when the supreme leader and all these people are taken out, how do these cells out in the area? They don't know. So they still just shoot. and the last thing they was heard was shoot, kill everybody, every Christian, because the crown prince of Saudi Arabia, he just accepted Jesus Christ into his life like 2 years ago. So that's the thing. They don't want that. They only want Muslims to multiply, Islamists to multiply. They don't want Christians. They don't want people that believe in Jesus. They don't want that. So they just, to me, it's just an act of desperation.
I'm about to say, and then, so like you said, it's pretty much like, okay, I don't bought this, but I ain't gonna use that. I don't bought this gallon of liquor. Let me go ahead and drink as much as I can, or give out as much as I can before, because I don't want my money to go to waste. It ain't no need
Yeah.
of, you know what I mean? Me going out here and I ain't never had me getting killed and I ain't never had liquor. So I get it. I get what you're saying. Is a like you said, it's a desperate act because they invested so much money into these warheads and these missiles and whatnot. But it's just tragic, man. I'm just grieved. Either way, like I said, war is inevitable. I understand that, but I
But
just really
but
feel
you know,
bad
you know,
for the lives
you
that are
know
lost.
how bad it has to be when you got people in a city. It's bad when you have people that live in that city and they're celebrating that you bombing their city.
Mm-hmm.
I tell people, it has to be bad.
Hey, but
Like,
look, this is and you said that, but it was funny when you said when you was talking about that earlier. I was thinking, and I'm not saying that is right or wrong, but to your point, you look at any president in history. Well, I ain't gonna say any history. The day that we living in now, um, if they was to assassinate Trump, you gonna have some people over here the same way. Whether we think it's right or wrong, it's gonna be some people that celebrate. It'd have been the same way with like some people go, oh, you know what I mean? It's like
mm,
it's just so that's why I just said but me personally, forget where you from, the color of your skin. I just always feel bad for oppressed people. I feel bad for that mother who lost her daughter in a drive-by. You know what I mean? That's
mm,
grieving the loss. Like it is just so unfortunate. I wanted to get more details on that show. I had posted something a couple, maybe last month or maybe 2 months ago now, about these two brothers, where the one brother killed his brother over a disagreement they was having, and his brother was to the effect that you ain't tough or you can't fight like a real man without that gun. All you know is the gun, and he actually shot his brother, proving the brother right. But the mother had to talk to, you know, she talked him into turning himself in, and she was talking about how much she loved him. But can you
yeah,
imagine as a father? Can you imagine as a parent, one of your children, like King David? You know what I mean? And I
yeah.
always try to tell people there are consequences for your actions. And I promise you, we going on to this. But when you look at the life of King David, I always tell people, if David hadn't have been like he was with uh old boy's wife,
Hmm.
missing out the war because he wanted to sleep with his wife, would he know the pain? Would he have known the pain of one of his sons killing his brother for raping his sister? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that it would. I don't know that it would have changed things, but I don't know that it would have not changed things. We got to be careful of our actions because you reap what you sow. You know what I mean? Karma.
Hmm.
Whatever, however you want to turn it according to your religious beliefs. But it always made me think about that. Like, I just feel bad for those type of people because, like I said, when it comes to war, there was always going to be somebody that died that didn't deserve it.
Hmm.
So, my heart is compassionate toward those, just the loss of life and somebody lost their grandmother and babies, and even seeing some of the footage of these hospitals that were blown up, and the kids crying, like, oh my God, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And that's a part of war, whether you fighting it justifiably or not. Like I said at the beginning of the show, there will always be calamities of war and casualties of war. So that's who my heart goes out to. That's who I'm praying for, because no matter who wins the war, we've all lost
Yeah.
in some form or fashion.
You're right.
Um, so with that being said, man, we getting ready to get up out of here, man. Thanks as usual, Sam, for chiming in with me. I thank everybody for the comments and tuning in. Shout out to everybody that was kind. I seen a lot of new faces out there. I appreciate you guys. We do this every Tuesday night, different topics or what have you. Different guests from time to time. But come on back, be a part of the Marvin Bennett Show community, man. We appreciate you. Have you? We go live every Tuesday night, unless otherwise noticed. And please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I would appreciate it. It's free. You can go back and watch for old shows, whatever the case may be. It was good time. But I really appreciate you all. Like I said, go over to the YouTube channel, subscribe for free. Check out some of the old shows. And if you guys have any suggestions or would like to see anybody in particular or a particular topic on the show, feel free to hit me up. Let me know. And we'll make it happen for you. But I really appreciate you all, man. Really, 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 really. I mean, it's really, especially with the world that way things are going nowadays, man. Love your loved ones intentionally, yo. Put all this bickering and beefing. If it ain't nothing major, let it go. It ain't
Yeah.
worth it. You know what I mean? We got to get all this type. I was reading this thing and or rather watching this thing, and it was just so on my spirit. When I see people saying it a lot of times now. I just remove myself from the situation because my peace, and I talked about it earlier. My peace is my peace. Yo, just because you're avoiding something doesn't mean you have peace.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that. I'm definitely gonna say that. You can delusionalize yourself or convince yourself or whatever, but you avoiding the situation does not bring about peace, or that's not the true definition of peace. That's just you avoiding conflict, which is two totally different things. So if it ain't nothing major, man, make sure you forgive people, heal, allow healing for yourself and others as well. Um, and you'll see. You trust me, you'll be so relieved and can't believe it sometimes when you remove yourself from the situation and allow God to be God in your situation. And say, man, how did I get here? I would have never thought I'd seen a day where I'll be talking with this person or that person, or we would be in the same vicinity.
Yeah.
Allow God to do what you can't do as yourself. Just get out his way and let him do what he do.
Yeah.
Um,
Get out the way.
yeah. So with that being said, man, like I said, just love each other. Take this week out and just do me a favor. Somebody that you ain't talked to in a while, just pick up the phone. Look, I ain't want nothing. I was just calling to see how you was doing. Just let you know that you was thought about. Somebody I'm talking about, nobody random. We got some people that we talk to every day or once a week and all that. Did somebody mix it up just to let somebody know, because you never know the difference that it'll make in their life. And where they at. You talked about Warren Sapp earlier. I don't do Warren Sapp. I stopped liking Warren Sapp years ago when he told Chad Johnson to give his money back. That's where you cross the line with me. You know what I'm
Mhm.
talking about? The season where they suspended Chad and told him to go home for the rest of the season, like week 11. He's like, well, you need to get that money back. I ain't with no grown man talking about how another man should spend his money. Like, you minding other people's business. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? That's where Warren Sapp lost me. Like, yo, that ain't none of your business, yo. Don't be speaking on that man contract or what he should do with his money. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You get your money back. How about that? Since you so team oriented, how about you get your contract back or what he was gonna make for it to be recouped? But that's neither here nor there. But I'm glad that he is in a good headspace, because I did hear different things about that. Him being caught and arrested for certain things, and being an alcoholic and being depressed and suicidal or whatever. So I'm glad he was able to get past all that there too, because I don't never
Yeah.
want to see advising nobody. But with that being said, man, again, make a difference in somebody's life. I appreciate each and every one of you all. I look forward to seeing you all next Tuesday. And as usual, on my sign off, DeAndre and Lisha, know that Daddy loves you intentionally, but I also love you unconditionally. So next week, peace.